Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Psychic.biz Ring Club and Nathan Knight. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Ace Knight here at the Psychic Coffee Shop. Tonight, Rain won't be joining us. Unfortunately, she's having some issues and couldn't make it into her side of the studio to join us for tonight's show. But that's okay. We will roll on. Tonight, we're going to do the first installment of A Psychic's Life, where we look at the very beginnings of psychic intuition, psychic growing, when you start opening up, things to look for, but also what to do, how to handle it, and then after about halfway through, I'm going to start taking some calls, maybe even earlier if I run out of things to say, because this is actually the first show that I've done alone. I've always had a co-host with me, so we're going to have some fun. So, I've looked around and I've researched, not only for myself, but also for this show idea, and there doesn't seem to be anything out there that is just, okay, let's begin. What happens when you naturally start opening up as a psychic? And I think it's because a lot of people don't think about this side. Nowadays they're more into, following a path or following a belief system that causes this to open up. But a lot of people don't understand that when you start opening up as a psychic, different things happen to different people. You may start noticing repetitive dreams. This is normally the subconscious exploring itself and opening up to this information. You may feel differently. You may start feeling a stronger connection to things. You start having a stronger gut instinct. This is what I call a psychic starting to open up or grow into that avenue. Or you may just wake up one day and start being the telephone, okay, and continually getting message after message after message. And it's first important to understand that when this starts happening, you may start to think that you're losing your mind. Well, you're probably not, but it's always best to go and get psychoanalyzed and, see how things go, see where you feel, and, really allow yourself to make sure that everything's all checked. And then move into, taking some steps to understand yourself, because the path of the psychic is really that, of learning to understand yourself, your connection with spirit, and how you're able to aid people. We see a lot of famed psychics and a lot of famed mediums and a lot of intuitives or whatever tag they want to snap on their shirt. And they go into their early story, but they don't really tell how they began. So, that's why I've decided to do this and hopefully help a lot out there, because I feel like a lot of people are starting to open up. A lot of gifts are starting to develop. A lot of gifts that people never even heard of are starting to come forward, and it's like, okay, now what do I do? Because I know I'm not crazy. I see this happening and then it happens, or I smell this and it appears obvious, or I see, I hear a voice in my head that tells me that, I need to turn left because there's a car accident ahead. What is that voice? Well, that voice is probably a spirit guide, or some people also call them gatekeepers or informationalists. And you want to build that bond, and it may just be a start of not feeling right, a start of, the voice that we normally have, it's called a human consciousness, taking a different tone, or being very high-pitched, and then when it's just a normal consciousness, it's the echo of your own voice. So you need to start taking some basic steps. Meditation. This is highly important, especially if you come in as an empath, or you start developing empath skills. That means you're picking up everything, so you need time to quiet yourself and to get yourself focused. You may want to start journaling. I recommend this for everybody because it's a decompression stage, and I often find that after journaling I feel a lot better, especially if I have a long day with all 20 appointments filled and everything else, taking time to journal and get out my emotions out of the way. Because, why, yes, the name or the brand becomes important, but that's not you. That's just what you do. And you've got to learn to step aside and, let the information flow through. So that's why journaling is important. You got to eat right. I don't know how many psychics I run into are running on very weird diets. They'll do this. They become vegetarian, but yet they crave meat, and they start feeling really bad. Or they're on a diet, and I've even done this myself, and they're running themselves into the ground because they don't understand their energy output versus what they're taking in. You got to learn to focus, and that's hard today. Sometimes you have to unplug or create a space that's just unplugged. It's not tied into everyone and everything so that you can focus. And then I always suggest, and it drives me crazy when I see people that do this, they'll advertise no tools reading. Well, yeah, they are using a tool. It's themselves. But I always suggest you learn a tool like tarot cards or the runes or crystal readings or, reading chicken bones, whatever, canterbury shells, so that you have something there to guide you along. Otherwise, you step into this person's world, you have no clue where you're going, and you have nothing to help guide you there except your own guides. And then the other issue is learning to trust yourself. I don't care if you get the message that something is blue, then you need to stand on that. It's blue. You see it as blue, it's blue. If you get the message that something else is going on, then something else is going on. And a lot of psychics, I feel and fear, get into this questioning the message. You should never question the message. You are not the one in logical supposition. You are not the one that is the mailman. You're just the telephone when you're doing readings. Or when you're connecting with someone, you're just the messenger. You don't need to go, well, they said to say he's cheating, but I really think I need to say he's exploring new areas of his own relationship center. No, if he's cheating, he's cheating. Call it as it is. Hairy-fairy, confusing the client is not a good thing to do. And that, when you start filtering, as I call it, because I don't have filters, or filtering the information or making it softer, you're not going to give the effect. You're not going to give the information clearly. And then you and your client's going to start having a problem there because they're really needing to know the information is being sent through the message. And you're really needing to do your job, which is to communicate the message. That's it. And I really would take some time before you start communicating messages to build that connection with spirit so that you're able to connect easily. I don't think as soon as you start getting those little gut feelings and those intuitions that we all get, but on a stronger level and repetitive, it's not just like once or twice, but repetitive, you need to get some training. You need to get to understand yourself. You need to do some self-development there. It isn't like, oop, I saw the accident, so I need to put the shingle out on the front porch to start taking appointments. No, you don't need to do that. You need to take some training. You need to get to know some terminology that psychics use. Example, intuitive, which means they process information from a gut level. A medium, they talk to the dead. My co-host is a medium. She's great at it. I am not a medium in any shape or form. Yeah, sometimes I get messages from the dead, but that's not like she does. She can't call up she can call up Uncle Joe and go, hey, I need your spaghetti recipe. I don't. They have to decide to throw it at me like a brick house for me to get it. Spiritual counselor. This is a new one that's been popping up around the networks and everything else. Spiritual counselor basically means they talk to spirit. So they should be calling themselves a medium, but it's the new term. Kind of like domestic engineer. The new domestic engineer is a housewife. And then there's always the traditional clairs. Clairaudient, meaning you hear things. Clairsentient, meaning you clearly sense things. Clairvoyant means you see things. Clairsentient means you know it. You don't know how you know it, you just know it. And then when you're ready, and this is after you've gone through your self-discovery, go get some training, whether it's at your local metaphysical store, going to, one of the ULC churches, going to a spiritualist church, especially if you're leaning on mediumship. There's no better training than that. And get some training for yourself. Get some ideas of what yourself is able to do. You need to know your limits so that you can go, yep, I can deal with this. Nope, I can't. Now, just because you have psychic gifts does not mean you have to go and start doing podium readings, or it doesn't mean you have to start seeing clients. You can be as whatever you want and still use your psychic abilities, whether it is in your everyday job or just for your life or just when you feel like it. These are things that you get to figure out as you grow, because some people aren't meant to do the job of a psychic. Maybe they've got psychic abilities, but they're meant to be a cook. So instead of doing readings, they psychically connect with the food and create new recipes and host new, restaurants, or at least sense that a customer is not telling them they're allergic to black pepper, so they just don't put black pepper in there and find out later that they're really glad that they didn't do it. These are instances of psychic connection within a different field, because the psychic thing, energy, connects with everyone. It's just a question of how much it connects with you, how much work you put into it, because it's a muscle. It's just like a runner. I couldn't run a mile. Sorry, it's not in me. However, there are people out there that do marathons because they train and they enjoy it and they like doing it. So psychic abilities, clairaudient, whatever, isn't a curse. It's a tool within our natural species, and it's just a question of how much you put that tool to use. So, that's basically my idea on psychic living and the first baby steps you should do. Also making connections with friends that are within this area, because you can learn off of them. Because later on when you start learning the tools, you're going to have to figure out how you can pull yourself together, pull yourself comfortable, and figure yourself out, because it's about you. It's an expression of you. It's an expression of your own DNA. All right, so we're going to take a mini break, and then we're going to come back, and I want to start taking some calls, because we got a few callers in the line tonight, and that's awesome. Thank you very much. And here we go.
Do you have burning questions you need answered? We all do. Visit our website at Psychic.biz, where you can find accurate psychics, tarot readers, and astrologers from around the world who are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can have your questions answered anonymously and right from your computer, tablet, or smartphone. The introductory chat is always free, and we offer low per-minute rates and special promotions. Our online psychics offer helpful, practical guidance into what matters most to you. Visit us today at Psychic.biz.